welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I am Mansi Fadnis and here's our news roundup for the day. Niti Aayog in partnership with PhonePe is organizing India's biggest hackathon for innovators, digital creators and developers. Individuals and teams can take part in the competition to solve a particular problem scenario created for the competition and stand a chance to win 9 lakh rupees in prizes. To take part in the hackathon, visit the Niti Aayog FinTech Open Month website for more details. Over to Priya.
A very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Sheth, and joining me on this conversation is Vipin Pathak from Care24. Thank you very much, Vipin, for joining us today. I want to begin by talking to you a little bit about the healthcare industry, specifically home care and healthcare. It's taken primary importance amid this pandemic. What's been the journey for you like? If you can tell us in terms of what kind of key growth metrics you've seen?
Yeah, so I think the pandemic has obviously been very overwhelming, I would say, to everyone and including healthcare. So on one side, we were looking at, from a home care perspective, people not wanting a lot of people to come home, because of the restrictions and stuff like that, right? On the other side, people needed a lot of care at home, right? Because hospitals were flooded. There was no other possibility of, creating so many beds, right? So the respite care, which used to be only say 20% of the stuff that we do, and long-term care is like almost about 80%. We saw that respite care became like almost, I don't know, I mean, not even in terms of percentage, we were getting like, we serve about 1,000 patients every day at home, and we were getting every single day almost about 1,000 new requests. So it was almost impossible for us to kind of generate that sort of a supply. We tried doing as much as we could. So there was a lot of room for innovation. So we did a lot of things in terms of having one person placed in a community which could serve a lot of people. A lot of other segments like deliveries of consumables, pharma, other stuff at home. I think a lot of collaboration, a lot of partnerships happened during this pandemic time. So it says that, in Hindi we have a saying that कुछ जो घटनाएं होती है वो सोचने के तरीके को बदल देती हैं, which is to say these events are something that tells you that you have to change the way you are thinking. So I think from healthcare perspective, from home care perspective, we all have gotten an opportunity to change the way we have been thinking about home care, about healthcare in general. And I think we were able to serve more number of patients in this period than cumulative we would have done in past, like for 5 years or so.
Right. Vipin, tell us a little bit on what the strategy is for 2022, what kind of growth numbers you're expecting, and are there any specific areas where you'll continue to focus on?
Yeah, so what we have realized is that, at Care24, we are decently strong in technology. We have developed a process. I mean, and by technology, I mean like including the software as well as the processes, right? So the kind of processes that is required to serve Indian home care industry, we are looking from organized home care is only about say 2% of the total market. So we are looking at almost about a $5 billion industry, which is completely unorganized. Now, how do we integrate? How do we actually expand to so many cities, given that it's a localized service at the end of the day, right? So somebody has to go and do a service, right? I mean, so there is a large part of that physical service part of it. There we are looking at a model where we could help the current agencies who are, the current providers. So there are about 1.5 million service providers currently in India who was, doing home care in one or the other format. So we are thinking that how can we actually integrate all of this? How can we aggregate them? How can we give them the right tools, technology to from discovery to collection? So discovery of job, like where they are, where they can find the right job, right, where they can, and similarly, so it's a vice versa, right? So it's like a matching engine, right? So on one side you have a lot of seekers, on one side you have a lot of providers, right? So how do you match that somebody local, somebody good, somebody suiting your requirements? And if you were to look at it now, we think of us as improving the quality of home healthcare for at a pan-India level. So that's one model that we are looking at from say expansion perspective. The other is we are also getting some opportunity outside India. That is very exciting for us. Japan, the current investors are from Japan now. So they are looking at some of this expansion opportunity that why don't we try something in Japan? So why don't we try something in Vietnam? Why don't we try something in Indonesia? So a lot of that discussion is happening, but I think because of the pandemic, the travel restrictions are kind of delaying some of those plans.
In 2022, any plans to raise new funds? Are you speaking with investors as we speak?
So we have currently the acquisition has been very, very good for us. HLM, which is a long-term investor with us, so they are looking to invest through their balance sheet in the coming years, anything from $5 to $10 million in developing the K24 growth story. So we are obviously looking at some of the expansion, right, in terms of cities, in terms of services, but also in terms of some of these new models that I would say that, how do we look at home care at a holistic level and stuff like that. So that is the kind of investment that we are looking at. And I think that should happen very soon.
A final question before I let you go on the revenue metrics. What can we expect? What kind of revenue goals have you set for yourself?
So you see, we are currently looking at something like 100% CAGR with the current cities. As we keep on adding other variables like cities, service offerings, these things are kind of going to go from 2x to 3x. We overall, from the investors' perspective, we are looking at something like a 4 to 5x of growth from where we are in the next couple of years.
All right, Vipin, thanks very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time.